Good morning, everyone. My name is Hosser Thomas, and I'm an 8th grade cancer survivor who attends the Nativity School of Harrisburg. I was diagnosed with leukemia at the age of 3, and at the age of 3 in 2009 and went into remission in 2014 at the age of 8. I had to undergo my last surgery to release my Mediport. Aside from that, our speaker this morning is Secretary John Wetzel. Secretary John Wetzel began his career in 1989 as a correctional officer who worked his way through the ranks as a counselor, treatment supervisor, director of the Berks County Training Academy, and warden of Franklin County Jail. He had held his current position since 2011. His legacy is strong, including reducing Pennsylvania's jail population by 20%, improving long-term outcomes for offenders, and implementing innovative programs. Welcome, Secretary Wetzel.
How about a round of applause for Hasir? Man, that was awesome. You didn't have to be nervous. First of all, thank you so much, Sherry. Thanks for the invite and the opportunity to come here. This is just such a special place. It's really an honor, and I really mean that, to be here today. But I got to tell you, when you hear corrections and you hear inner city kids, some of you may be thinking, oh, I'm going to hear how we can keep these kids out of prison. And if you came to hear that, you should just leave right now. Because that is so insulting to these kids. That's our framing oftentimes. That these kids, that there's an inevitability of incarceration because kids grow up in a tough environment. And it's bull. These kids are so much better than that. But in America, oftentimes, the zip code that you're born in determines your outcomes. And I gotta tell you, earlier this week, I was at this prison in Indiana, Pennsylvania called SCI Pine Grove. And I dread this visit every year. And this is the prison that we have our young adult program. And young adult is kind of a misnomer because in Pennsylvania, you can go to state prison at age 13. And we currently have 400 people who came into state prison as children, as a child. But that's not the worst part. Let me take you with me inside this prison at this visit, and I will tell you I have the same conversation every year. And it's really the true reason I'm here. I walk into this prison and I see this 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old kid who's probably doing at least 10 years, right? Because they're in a state prison, so they probably did something pretty serious. And they're not even old enough to shave. Little baby face, and a brown baby face that looks like mine. And then we have this same conversation. And I go, hey, help me understand how you got to a state prison. You're 15 years old. How did you get to a state prison? The answer's the same every time. I go, I'm not gonna lie, Secretary. I thought I was gonna be dead by 25. So what does it matter? What does it matter? And you know, that's indicative of a kid who has no hope. And that's sad. That's sad for him. It's sad for me, but more importantly, it's sad for all of us. The fact that there's kids who are born and they think the normal part of maturing is to go through a correctional system in the land of opportunity. It just blows my mind. And this school got it right. And I gotta tell you, the formula is not super complicated, right? Expose kids to an opportunity. Surround them with unconditional love. Let them know that they count. Let them know that they can be whatever they want to be. So we have the answer. But you heard earlier, and the thing I can't stand, and I heard it again today. X number of kids apply, Y number of kids get in. Think about that for a second. Think about being a kid in a challenging environment and you have to hit the lottery to have an opportunity that most of us take for granted. But that's what's going on right here in Harrisburg, right here in Pennsylvania, right here in America. You got to hit the lottery to get the opportunity. And it's about opportunity. So if you would write down opportunity and then write N-O-W-H-E-R-E all together, you could look at that two ways. It could be opportunity is now here, or opportunity is nowhere. And it depends on your perspective. And the thing about kids is they get their perspective by who they're around and what they're exposed to. Let me tell you about another kid, a kid who came to state prison named Lewis at age 15 with a life sentence. And up until 2012, you could get a life sentence being younger than 18. Fortunately, the Supreme Court changed that. But this kid came in for a life sentence. And here's the worst part about Lewis's sentence. Lewis got a life sentence, and he didn't commit a murder. And you go, that's not possible. Oh, it is possible. Yeah. He was present in a vehicle when someone else shot somebody. And in Pennsylvania, they call that felony murder. And you can get life without parole for felony murder. So when Lewis came in, he had dropped out of school, which is, fairly common for folks who end up in prison. And he had a assessed IQ of 68. And Lewis tells this story, and he actually has a TED Talk. We did a TED Talk inside the prison he was in, and it's on the internet. You can find it, SCI Graterford TED Talk, and you can find his TED Talk. He came in and he couldn't read. And he tells this story about how he got in trouble, and he was in restrictive housing or the hole or solitary confinement, and his mom sent him a letter, and he couldn't read it. And he talked about just sitting in his cell and just crying and just feeling horrible about it, and humiliated that he had to ask someone else to read this letter from his mom. But fortunately, somebody saw something in Lewis that he didn't see in himself. And they encouraged him to get into school. Lewis learned how to read, got a high school diploma, ultimately got a college degree from Villanova. Yes, you can get a college degree in prison. College degree from Villanova. And then the Supreme Court changed the law about sentencing juveniles to life without parole. And Lewis is in the community today, doing well, working and thriving. But we wrote Lewis off. We didn't expose him to an opportunity to be who he could be. And this school exposes people to an opportunity. Now I'm going to tell you, if we know the path, and as a society, as a community, as a government, we're not walking the path, the difference is courage. We lack the courage to do the right thing. Nativity School does the right thing, but doesn't have the opportunity to do the right thing for enough kids. Earlier this week, the same day I was at Pine Grove, I was able to be with former Pittsburgh Steeler Rocky Bleier, who is I'm a huge Eagles fan, but I'm a huge Rocky Bleier fan. One of the most motivational human beings I've ever met in my life. And he said something that really resonated with me. He said there's 3 things that you can never take back. That once they're gone, they're gone. The first thing is your words. I would amend that to say your tweets and your social media kids can't take that back either. Someone's going to screenshot it, even if you delete it. The second is time. And the third is opportunity. We have an opportunity here. And I got to tell you, we got to do something different. The notion that you have kids who are exposed to the harsh reality of the world at 10 years old, at 11 years old. It's not something that can't be overcome, but it has to be overcome the right way. And business as usual, just kind of processing through, teaching to the test, that's not getting it done. It's about caring. It's about telling someone, yes, you made a mistake, but that doesn't make you a bad person. We still love you. You still have an opportunity. And let me wrap up with this. Earlier this week, I was with this group from California, and they talked about this Mexican proverb. And I got to tell you, it must be providence that I heard this story this week, and I'm going to share it with you because it really is about what I feel in this room right now. And the proverb is that young boys in a community, young boys in a village, have a fire burning in them. And we all know that they have a fire burning in them. Like working that fire out every morning, doing drill, there's a fire burning in those kids. But there's two things that happen. When that fire is nurtured, and that fire is nurtured by love and acceptance and selflessness and hope, that fire in those young boys grows, and it grows and it grows and it grows, and ultimately it warms the village. And that's the next generation, and it comes in and it warms the village. And this room is so warm from the fire that's burning inside these young men, and that's burning this warm because that fire has been nurtured, and it's grown, and it's growing, and it's growing, and it's gonna warm this Nativity community forever. But there's another thing that happens. When that fire is not nurtured, guess what? It still grows. And it grows and it grows and it grows, and then it burns the community down. Think about that for a second. Take a look at some of our communities. Those communities are burning. And those communities are burning because we're not nurturing and we're not developing that fire, and that fire is not only burning the kids up, but it's burning all of us up. And so the opportunity is real simple. We have a choice. The opportunity is either now here or nowhere. And the difference is courage, and the difference is us. And if we have the courage to do the right thing, the courage to do what it takes to give kids an opportunity who need and deserve a damn opportunity, then our village will be warm, and these kids have an opportunity. Thank you so much.